Sportsbook. Everybody pay attention. Dan, does Aaron Rodgers throw for at least 2 touchdowns tonight?
Yeah, I think he does. You know, you heard Teddy talk about Aaron in this offense before, and in the red zone, it's try to go get touchdown passes, and really a lot of times it's move the quarterback. I don't think Cincinnati can match up one-on-one with DK Metcalf. I think that this offense can control the line of scrimmage 20-20 that he was talking about. I think he gets 2 tonight.
All right, J-Mac, Jamar Chase had 10 catches in Joe Flacco's Bengals debut last week. Does the Bengals wideout get at least 7 receptions tonight?
I am saying yes. If Flacco's going to throw the ball 40-plus times, you got to make sure you're throwing the ball to that young man, Jamar Chase. The biggest challenge for them is going to be being able to protect Flacco long enough for him to be able to get the ball to Jamar Chase.
All right, Teddy, give us a guy you think finds the end zone tonight.
We talked about him earlier. I'm going to go with DK Metcalf.
Hey.
I mean, it could be catch and run from 60, or it could be down there in the red area. I mean, this is Derrick Henry playing receiver, too. Once he gets the ball in his hands and trying to tackle this guy, big dude, strong. Man, I'm going with DK.
Okay, take a picture of it or just make your bets. A $10 bet wins you just over $35, okay, people? ESPN Bet's Power Hour starting soon. Head to the ESPN Bet app 1 hour before kickoff to get enhanced odds on first touchdown scorer props for tonight's game. Score more on Thursday nights with ESPN Bet, the sportsbook for sports fans. All right, let's bring back Jeff Darlington for some more top stories. Jeff, what are you hearing about Trey Hendrickson's status for tonight?
Well, he tried to give it a go, Laura. He has been pushing to play, but it does look like Trey Hendrickson will, in fact, miss this game as he deals with this back and hip injury. Wasn't able to get out there quite like he expected to, so I would say that we should not expect to see him. Obviously, as Teddy mentioned earlier, some very good news for Aaron Rodgers. He will not need to deal with the wrecking ball that is Trey Hendrickson. Now to J.J. McCarthy for the Vikings in his ongoing status as he tries to come back from that high ankle sprain. Now, he could return this week, but Kevin O'Connell being not really clear yet. The first 2 days of the week really kind of being vague about who it would be. Would it be McCarthy or Carson Wentz? Don't forget, Wentz also dealing with a shoulder injury. I would look toward this, though. Wentz is a full participant in practice. McCarthy is limited at this point. It does look like Wentz is trending that direction. Brock Purdy limited in practice, but at least he was out there. Now the 49ers are being very cautious about bringing Purdy back due to that turf toe injury because of what happened last time. He went out there, he re-aggravated. Mac Jones also dealing with his own ailments, but it does look like Jones is probably more in line to play this week. Again, this is a 49ers team that is trying to be so careful with Purdy. Obviously, it doesn't hurt that Mac Jones has been playing some pretty good ball as well, Laura.
Yeah, exactly. And they're thinking about those Falcons, Jeff, on the other side of things, which have been really good. Bijan Robinson leads the NFL with 164 yards from scrimmage per game, and is just the 5th player in the last 50 seasons with 800 yards from scrimmage in his first 5 games of the season. Look at this list. The only other player to do it was the last 20 years was Christian McCaffrey. 2 of those players went on to win Offensive Player of the Year, Thurman Thomas and Priest Holmes. I mean, my word.
Sean McDermott, the head coach of the Bills, called him our era's Barry Sanders.
Yeah, I believe it. I mean, Saquon Barkley's talked about him as like, this is the best guy.
Pump the brakes on that a little bit.
Teddy's not buying it yet?
Well,
Well, at least Sean McDermott said it, not Dan Orlovsky.
That'll get attached to me, trust me.
Right. Dan, why will this run game be so difficult for the 49ers to handle this week?
Yeah, it's not just the 49ers. I really think from this point on moving forward for the NFC, if you can't handle this outside zone, you're going to struggle to slow this offense and really to beat this Atlanta Falcons team. Couple examples. One, this is a defense when you're doing it well. And I think number one is, like, you better set the outside edge, and then you better set the next level edge. And I think both Rousseau and Ed Oliver do a good job. But what I've learned is if you're not great on the backside, not only with gap integrity, but just muddying that cutback lane, it's a problem. This is the 81-yarder. And I would sit there and go, well, oh, great, they set the edge, right? Defensively, they forced the ball back inside. But there it goes to that backside gap responsibility and commitment. If you give this kind of seam and you're not on that other shoulder of that guard, not only that, but tackling downfield and in space and shedding the blocks of the wide receivers, almost every chance is this opportunity to go to the house. And so I think that run game, that one type of scheme is capable of carrying this offense to the playoffs.
Yeah, and then linebackers getting off blocks too, like you said. I mean, that's the problem. I mean, as a linebacker and a former linebacker, when you go up against a zone scheme like that, it's the most deciphering that I'll do. I mean, you run a wham, you run a gap screen. I know where I got to go. I know what gap I have to be at. This is interpretation, all right? And the best at doing that was Fred Warner.
Yeah.
So without Fred Warner, we got Tatum Bethune coming in, and there's a lot of new things that you're going to have to deal with in terms of also when safeties come down, they expect linebackers to be somewhere also. So
you're darn right. Be there to make the tackle, so I don't have to make
the interpretation that where is that going to hit? Because basically what you're doing is you're playing running back without the ball. So I'm just looking at a picture and I'm seeing holes, and if it's backside, I got to get there too as a linebacker. It's going to be very tough without Fred Warner to stop this game.
As I look at those two videos, those two pictures that you showed on those two plays, the thing that the offense wants for the defense is we want to get you to go sideways.
Right. When
I'm playing defense, as much as I'm going sideways, to Teddy's point, as a linebacker, I have no idea what gap Bijan is going to choose. That first clip, you saw the defensive end get outside Rousseau, and you saw Ed Oliver get up the field.
Like double edges almost.
Yes, double edges. When you have your defensive linemen, defensive tackles, and they're going sideways, but the end is setting the edge, it still opens up the gaps on the inside. You need somebody internally to penetrate and get vertical to force the running back off his course. He can't just run in a straight line, press, and cut. He now has to bubble. He has to do something different that allows a Teddy Bruschi to run downhill and now go make the tackle.
Let me ask you a question, because I was pretty critical of this pistol zone scheme a couple weeks ago. And after calling the game and talks with the team, they were teaching us, or at least me, that they run it out of the pistol intentionally to get Bijan the ball deeper. Because they think that, like, the further away he actually is from the offensive line, the better, because he can set the defense and then burst or watch the flow. And I wanted to ask, Teddy, you know, with this zone scheme, as a linebacker, are you more than likely to try to, like, get over the top and shoot front side? Or is it more likely to hang backside for a cut? Or is that the conflict?
And I'm telling you, with the depth that he would get, I would also deepen my alignment. So he is entering into the line of scrimmage at the same time that I am. So he's free of the blockers to make a cut, and I'm free of a blocker to react off of that. Another thing that they did in that game that you were calling, I was listening to, they bring them out of all these different places, and then they
line them up and then hand it off.
And then they still run the zone. So now I got to reset my alignment, get my lineman right, because this isn't a passing situation. Bijan, who's still a good receiver out there, and then he comes in and runs the zone.
You know, you guys are talking about what is needed to defend this type of scheme. Like, who is built in the NFC to potentially do it against them?
He would be able to answer it better than me. Like, I think you got to have a person set the edge on a consistent basis. Because, again, Atlanta was saying, you know, they like actually when that Bijan tries to gain the corner. Like, I've always been around the outside zones. Like, you press the corner and cut it.
Yeah.
And so, like, I think you got to be really good at setting the edge. I think you got to have secondary people that are good and willing to tackle. Speed at the linebacker, I think penetrating defensive tackles, like, you got to check a lot of the things.
Like, I think about, like, what Philly has defensively.
Until you saw them last week.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Just the makeup in the roster. When you think
Nolan Smith back.
When you think about Nolan Smith, when you think about Jalen Carter, when you think about Cooper DeJean in that nickel spot, because Atlanta's running this out of 11 personnel as well. So you're getting the nickel out there on the field. Your nickel, when you talk about if they're running away from him, when you're talking about filling that cutback lane, that could be him in that scenario. When you're talking about running towards him, having to step up, a guy like Cooper DeJean is a nickel who can play physical in the run game as well.
And they had a couple backers that were doing well also, and Bond and Jihad Campbell. But I have to reassess.
They're going to have to get help.
Absolutely.
Before we get out of this, I want to ask you about Michael Penix Jr. because as much credit as we give to Bijan for what he's done, what stuck out to you about Penix Jr. What he's done well?
Okay, you're watching film on this kid, and I've been slow to jump on board with him because I just want to see more tape on him. And when you're watching the film defensively, your eyes sort of get more interested in the fourth quarter. This has been the best quarterback in terms of QBR in the fourth quarter. The number one QBR in the fourth quarter is Michael Penix. He hasn't had an overthrow or an underthrow in this quarter. So all of them have been on target. So now, there have been pass breakups, yes, but the balls are still on target. Fender, you know this kid is a gamer. Once the fourth quarter comes around, if I'm in coverage and in a good position, the ball's going to be there. Yeah, I do have a chance to make a play, but also receivers on the other side got to have a great amount of confidence thinking, if I'm hoping he's going to be accurate and I'm going to play well. Very impressed by Michael Penix in the fourth quarter.
Their coaching staff talks about how much they love his personality that's very kind of laid back and reserved. That's probably something that helps him in that fourth quarter. It's also this. Drake London is one of the, if not the best slot receivers in football. How many guys can line up against 6'3", 210 pounds in, basketball frame? I think that's an advantage as well.
DBs, yeah.
They've been waiting on him.
Penix comes out in the fourth quarter, baby.
Right, I love that. They've been waiting on him.
Penix comes out in the fourth quarter.
I love that you said that. So good. Hey, you know who else has been really good in